Hey Google, turn it up. Hey Google.
Play that Mr.G shit.
Alright, check out
Hey,
this
Google.
Baby Shark station on YouTube
Hey
Music.
Google. Pause. Hey Google.
Stream elements. Set. MRG underscore live is now
Hey
live.
Google.
Streaming
Pause.
just chatting.
Don't do anything.
MR.G live classroom.
Okay.
Hey Google, shut up.
Iowa.
Hey Google, shut the fuck up.
Piano is a goodies. Go goody do. I pointed to the goodies. Wow, wow. Where the coffee and the beaches. Messy beaches. What was What's really what
Make sure the kitties don't go out the back. So you know why. Alright, I think everything's running good now. Hey Mrs. J. We'll be back live in just a minute here. Continuing with the Iowa presentation. I'll probably go and just start it early here. So it's not going to be 7 minutes, so it'll be more like 2 minutes away.
I spent him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher on Iowa Street. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher on Iowa Street. Mr. G, he's your average teacher on Iowa Street. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher on Iowa Street. Mr. G, 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 Mr.
Hey, countrymen.
Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G.
Class will start within 2 minutes of the end of this song.
Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, non-hire or streamer, Americana writer, got no education. I met him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G.
Cheers, countryman.
Average teacher, non-IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G. He's your average teacher, non-IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G, 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 Mr. G, 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 Mr. G, 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 Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G. He's your average teacher, non-IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G. He's your average teacher, non-IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G.
Hey guys, welcome to my class. Hey Big Block.
Thanks for the 2020 Unity at Big Blocks.
Hey, thank you Big Blocks. Hey everybody, I'm Mr. G. Welcome to my class. I have a live classroom every day, Monday through Friday. Tell all your friends. It's live on Twitch every weekday at 12 o'clock Hawaii time. Big Block is the top moderator. Thank you Big Block. Thank you Mrs. J, everybody who stopped in today. Hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Get my, had to take care of some quick business. It's 2020, so,
You can send Mr. G.
I don't know. I'm sentimental. This is not about Iowa or anything like that. But when people look back, like if somebody's watching this 5 years from now, all right, I'm guessing 5 years from now, maybe I'm wrong, but people probably won't be, wearing masks. Now this is like commonplace. So like if I started the stream like this, people now would be like, oh, it's normal, yeah, normal, yeah, for to walk around like this. But I think it's cool, and it's also symbolic. And I come from a time where I was born at the very last part of 1979. So. When I was growing up in the 80s, from 0 to 10, the 80s had a certain identity. The 90s had a certain identity. When you look back at the 80s, it's big hair. When you look back at the 90s, it's like grunge rock and, Starbucks and stuff like that. But, after 1999, for the last 20 years, there hasn't really been an identity. Like from the year 2000 to 2010. They don't even have a name for that decade. It's called the 2000s, right? What's the fashion of the 2000s? What's the type of music of the 2000s? Everyone knows the 60s, the hippie music and the Motown. The 70s was known for disco, and 80s is known for Michael Jackson, Madonna pop music. 90s is known for like more bands. What are the 2000s? And then you got the teens right after that. What the heck is that generation?
Is like rise of Lady Gaga, Beyonce, and all them.
Yeah, it's like the rise of celebrity, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I like to say hindsight's 2020. But then you have a whole other decade from 2010 to 2020, the teens, which is kind of a ripoff because 2010 isn't a teen, 2011 isn't a teen, 2012 isn't a teen. The actual teens don't start until 2013, And what is that decade? At least now in the 20s, because we're in the 20s, we've been in the 20s for almost a year now. generation, not generation, this decade, if you're lucky enough to be alive, we're known for, you know, the first, we're known for these masks so far in the 20s. Also, the 20s are going to be known for driving cars. You know, Apple's stock is going sky high because their, you know, the blueprints for their self-driving car is coming out, and it's very, you know, it's an Apple device. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I'm somewhat sentimental, so having masks and the whole identity, and that's part of, you know, the earlier lecture, one of the first lectures I did in this classroom had to do with Benedict Anderson's imagined communities. Hey, Lucky. It's like we have our Lucky student here today. And imagined communities, you know, that's kind of like why I'm somewhat sentimental about masks. Not even sentimental, but like, it's like when you see a movie in the future, and you see somebody wearing masks.
Were alternative music, bubblegum pop, boy bands, tube tops, platform shoes, JNCO jeans, butterfly clips, and tons of things.
Yeah, that's true. You know, Mrs. J, I wore some Jinko jeans like 2 years ago at the Ala Moana Mall here, just because I had them when I was working at a thrift store. And then so the mall security saw me wearing them. They were like, what the hell? Like, what's he wearing those for? And they started following me around.
LOL, love it.
But yeah, I was wearing these baggy Jinko jeans. There's been too many times in my life where I went with the mentality, oh, I don't care what people think. They'll be able to see beyond so-and-so or whatever it is, you know? Like with the Jinko jeans, like, oh, you know, they'll understand that I'm a college-educated, very important person and that I'm just wearing these jeans because I don't care what people think. But that's not what happened. What happened was that everyone went crazy and like people called security like, we got a guy wearing Jinko jeans. We need cops ASAP. He must be up to something. He must have just got out of prison or something. You know, he must have went in 2003. You know, or that Jinko jeans is before 2003, is it? Aren't they? Because I was in college in 2003, and I don't remember anyone wearing Jinko jeans. But to get back to the lesson here, we went off topic to
Mr.G with a donation through Stream Elements. HTTPS:
when people look back, if you're watching this from 5 years now, if you're doing a report on Iowa, and you're like, why is he wearing a mask or something? Then you'll know it's because this is, you know, the late 2020. It's December 28th, 2020. And when did Iowa become a state, class? Iowa became a state in December 28th, which is today, 1846, about 15 years before the Civil War. But regardless, the math in my head, what's 2020 minus 1846? I think that's 175 years, right? Hey Google, how many years ago was 1846?
Hawaii's best
63,550 days.
Hey Google, volume 8. Hey Google, how many years ago was 1846?
63,550 days.
Hey Google, how many years ago was 1846?
63,550 days.
Hey Google, can you tell me that in years, please?
41 years old.
No, I'm 41 years old. Oh my goodness gracious. Hey Google, when did Iowa become a state?
Iowa was granted statehood on the 28th of December, 1846.
Okay, and how many years ago was that? Google? Hey Google, how many years ago did Iowa become a state?
On the website iowapbs.org, they say, almost 60 years after the passage of the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, Iowa completed all the requirements for statehood.
Okay. So Iowa became a state in 1847, and the year now is 2020. So we'll just outsmart Google here. Hey Google, What is 2020 minus 1847?
Said.
The answer is 173.
Okay, 173. So it's the 173rd or 174th anniversary of when Iowa became a state. Okay, we were talking about something else interesting, right? But I guess we'll get on to Iowa. Oh, but I guess I was talking about how if you're watching this in the future and you're wondering
You can send Mr.G.
why I was wearing a mask. This right here, this is what I was dancing with earlier. Lucky, be good. Iowa is known as what? What is Iowa's nickname, class? Anybody? Mrs. J? Iowa is known as
Countryman.
the corn state.
The boring state.
Good one, countryman. The boring state. No, it has two nicknames. Maybe it is the boring state. I'm not sure.
LOL, I heard that before, no joke.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That you might be accurate there. Most states have many different nicknames. The two most common nicknames of the state of Iowa is the corn state because they lead the nation in corn production. They're number one in corn and pigs and pork. They produce the most pork and corn of any state in the United States, which goes to say something considering their population is just over 3 million.
Said.
They
And voting, LOL.
So the nicknames are the corn state and also the Black Hawk state. Excuse me. The hey Google. The Hawkeye state, which is named after the Indian.
Here's
black.
some information about Iowa. Iowa, a midwestern U.S. state, sits between the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. It's known for its landscape
gonna
of
teach
rolling
the class?
plains and cornfields. Landmarks in the capital, Des Moines, include the Gold Dome, 19th century state capitol building, Papa John Sculpture Park, and the Des Moines Art Center, noted for its contemporary collections.
Okay, that's
The
enough.
City of Cedar Rapids Museum of Art has paintings by native Iowan
Right,
graduates.
that's enough. That's enough. All right. I'm teaching the class, Google, not you.
Stream elements.
All right.
Said.
He was right. I do have images of the Papa John Sculpture Park. That's in the capital of Des Moines, Iowa. It's a really nice park which has many different sculptures. I'll show almost a dozen of them. I keep on thinking Google's going to interrupt. What was with that? Hey, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. J. Hey, Cody, aloha. I just ordered a bunch of food, so I'm not going to order that burger today, Cody, but I will eventually. So, as far as Iowa goes, this right here, this is a famous Iowa painting. It's probably one of the most famous American paintings. Now, can anybody in the chat, anybody in the class, Cody, can you tell me what the name of this famous, iconic painting is?
Said. I won't give it away.
Okay, for those of you that were in my earlier class, don't give it away.
Google has been taken over by neighbors, I think.
Good one, good one.
Cody 8804 said. American Gothic.
Exactly, good job, Cody. American Gothic. And it's a famous painting which depicts two Iowa farmers. In particular, it is definitely Iowa farmers. This right here is a corn plant. Iowa, like I said, lead the nation in corn. And I would like to tell you who the painter of American Gothic is, one of the most famous American paintings. But I'm not an art student, and I don't actually know. And I'm, a large enough person that I can admit when I don't know something. Hey Google, who painted American Gothic?
American Gothic was created by Grant Wood.
Okay, Grant Wood.
Hey, Mr.G.
Hey, how's it? Flash Grizzle, aloha. Thank you for joining the class today. We have a wonderful lecture prepared, and also I'm not in a hurry. Hey! Thank you, Big Block. Aloha. Big Block tip $10. Thank you very much, Big Block. So, continuing. One second. Let me go through this. We have a wonderful lecture plan today, and I'm not in as much of a hurry as I was earlier, which is a really great thing. We'll get more into American Gothic and corn production. One thing that corn produces is high fructose corn syrup. And I recently, was told, I used to always drink those Cokes from Mexico that use real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. But I was told that it's literally impossible for anybody to detect the difference between real sugar and high fructose corn syrup. And I think that's probably pretty accurate. I bring that up only because the majority of the high fructose corn syrup that we get is produced from corn. We'll go into a slide about that in a minute. Right now, I will, looking for the, I will answer the phone.
Mexican cola is produced from sugar cane.
Oops. Hi, Mr. G Studio. You're live with Mr. G.
I could say, help Mr. G with a donation.
Yes, caller. You're calling Mr. G live on his show. However, you're not on speakerphone. So if you don't want to be on speakerphone, that's fine. But I am in the middle of a lesson right now.
Yes, it is better.
Okay, it's fine. Thank you for your participation in the classroom, and I'm glad you enjoyed the program. Thank you. Okay, so continuing. All right. So, the state of Iowa, it's an interesting state. You got to say it's an underrated state. Get my controller. Iowa seems, I do a little research for each of these courses, each of these lectures, and Iowa really, and I've known some people from Iowa, and generally everybody that I've known from there is somebody that's down to earth, somebody that's you can trust. I've known a lot of farmers from Iowa. Iowa is the top farming state in the United States.
https://merch.spremelements.com/mrg_live.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Iowa.
Why would the World Wide Web care about Iowa?
Well, we go over every state, and there's 50 states. Iowa, like I said, it's a very underrated state. Up in the corner here, you can see the Iowa state flower, and that's the wild rose, also known as the prairie rose. It's not what you think of when you think of a rose, correct?
Who cares about the United States, though?
Okay, well, after we're done with the United States, we're going to go on to each country. So, and once we go on to each country, then we'll go on to each planet. And once we go on to each planet, then we'll go on to each galaxy. Okay? And if that doesn't suit you, we'll have to get multiple universes. Right? We're doing what we can here. We're starting out with the states, move to the countries. Okay? Continuing. This class is a beautiful flower. Here in Hawaii, we really appreciate flowers. There's very nice flowers. This looks like a flower that you would see in Hawaii. It looks like a plumeria flower, a purple plumeria. But this is actually the...
I would do planets before countries because they are quicker.
Okay, but class, we're learning about Iowa today. So this is Iowa's state flower. It's a very nice flower, and you got to admit, also, Iowa has a very nice state bird. Each state that we do, we go over the state flower, the state bird, and the state flag, and the state capital. And I gotta say, Iowa gets 4 out of 4. They have a really great state bird, they have a really nice state flower, their state capital is one of the most interesting ones I've seen, and their state flag, it's not the best, but it is pretty nice and it's classy. It is classy.
Do you know they are all linked to Babylon?
No, okay.
Mermaid. Tip. Winning.
Thank you, Mrs. J. Continuing, the Iowa state bird, as you can see right here, is the American gold finch. Say that with me, class. American goldfinch. It's a nice bird. It's a pretty bird. I mean, you got to say. Also, it matches Iowa's colors. They tend to have a yellow and black color scheme, you know, with a lot of things. It has to do with their #1 university, Iowa, the University of Iowa, which you can see on the board there, Iowa Hawkeyes, which is once again named after Captain Black Hawk. I don't think I mentioned it in this class, I did in the earlier class, but if you're wondering who Captain Black Hawk is, who's Captain Black Hawk? Well, I'll tell you. Captain Black Hawk is the very first Native American to write an autobiography. He's the very first Native American to publish a book. And he called Iowa home, and after he did his writings, he traveled the country. You know, he was a very famous person of the time. He went back and lived in Iowa and always held it close to his heart. 10 points extra credit. Captain Black Hawk was the first Native American to write an autobiography. Who was the first African American former slave to write an autobiography?
7. The bird is a Babylon symbol. The goldfinch spirit animal also represents gratitude and appreciation for the good things and the bad things.
Interesting.
They mold you into the person that you need to become.
Thank you.
Form of control.
Thank you, Grizzle. That was interesting. Thank you for your contribution. That made sense to the Babylon reference as well.
Did Black Hawk graduate from UT?
Good one, Kenny. Good one.
Let's skip to the Pope and aliens.
That's got to be at another class. I don't have that planned in the lecture, the Pope and aliens. Well, I just had a quick trivia questions. Booker T. Washington is the first African American to write a book for the former slave, Booker T. Washington. Okay, continuing with Iowa. So I told you guys about Iowa State, which was named after Captain Black Hawk, or actually their mascot, the Hawkeye, is named after Captain Black Hawk. But then that's the University of Iowa. But then the Iowa State Cyclones is the name of their rival school, which is an underrated school. A lot of people aren't aware, but Iowa State is a top state school. It's in the Big 12 conference, along with the University of Texas, which Cody mentioned earlier. So, and if you're wondering why they're called the Cyclones, well, maybe you're not wondering. A cyclone is another name for a tornado, and Iowa sits right in Tornado Alley. Iowa has some of the one of the highest numbers of tornadoes in the United States. It also has lots of flooding as well. I believe I mentioned that corn and pork are its two most highest produced in the United States, more than any other state. Now, they're known to have rich soil, but low quality water. I'm going to talk about a lot of good things about Iowa, but apparently the groundwater isn't that great because of their mass pork, because of their mass, all the pigs that are there, that they've contaminated the groundwater. So, like I said, they're very popular with farms, and the individuals that I've met from Iowa I met them on farms as well. Iowa has more farms than any other state in the United States. I think there is, 92% of the landscape is farms. I think there's like 900,000 farms, if I'm not mistaken. It's on one of these slides here. But continuing on, we did the state flower, we did the state bird. This right here in the corner, this is the Iowa State Capitol. And we've looked at a few different capitals. As you can see, the Iowa State Capitol, it's pretty original in its look. I mean, you got to give it credit. Iowa does things a pretty artistic way. There's another picture of it right there. I think that's a better one. Iowa, it's a very artistic place. You know, it has American Gothic, you know, one of the most famous American paintings. And also it has, you know, it has the Papa John's Sculpture Museum. And it has a few other artistic things that we'll go into as well. So, in the state capitol as well. I think that looks pretty Gothic, and we went over the famous painting American Gothic.
_SM.
This right here is American Gothic. This is the painting that I was speaking about. It's supposed to be Iowa farmers. What happened? All of a sudden, the vibe just changed. All of a sudden, we're going to do a few slides right now. So here's some fun facts about Iowa. It's actually not very fun. It's just some basic information. But the population is about 3 million. This is obviously an old slide. The capital city is Des Moines. I actually used to sell the Des Moines Register newspaper back in San Antonio, Texas, when I worked for Metro News Service, and we sold different newspapers around the United States. We would call different locations, Albuquerque Journal, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Chicago Tribune, dozens of different papers, and one of those papers was the Des Moines County Register. And I really enjoyed selling that paper because a lot of people in Iowa were really nice. As you can see on the slide here, its largest city is Des Moines, barely 200,000 people. The climate, gets very cold there, down to 11 degrees and as hot as 87 degrees. Interesting fact, Iowa farmers raise more hogs and corns for market than any other state. So let's do some more fun facts while we're while we're using the overhead projector. You may be surprised that all U.S. eggs are antibiotic free. All milk contains naturally occurring hormones, even organic. Hamburgers. Okay, this isn't about. There's something about Iowa on here. I wouldn't put it in there. Okay, this is all from Iowa. Ethanol is also made from corn, which comes from Iowa.
Slipknot is from Iowa.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Studies show without ethanol, Americans would pay 20 to 40 cents more per gallon of gasoline. So you can thank Iowa's corn farmers for that discount in gas. Your body cannot tell the difference between sugar and high fructose corn syrup made from corn, nor is one healthier for you than the other. 1 bushel of corn can sweeten 400 cans of soda, make 38 boxes of corn flakes, or produce more than 2.5 gallons of ethanol. And one thing that I've noticed is corn seems to grow great in Iowa. Speaking of corn, ain't that a beauty? Huh? It's not a penis either. So here's some more little known facts about Iowa.
Those facts are fun.
So, thank you, Mrs. J. Iowa leads the nation in the production of corn, soybeans, pork, and eggs. Wow, I didn't know soybeans, pork, and eggs. I just knew about corn and...
Big blocks.
Oh, well, I knew about pork.
Ha ha.
While it may not surprise you to learn that there are 6 hogs for every 1 person in Iowa. Can you believe that, Big Block? Big Block knows about hogs. The Hawkeye State produces 1/5 of all eggs in the United States. I had no idea.
That's insane.
Tell me about it. Let's learn some more, guys. So, we know that, Iowa is the largest corn producer in the United States. But did you know that Iowa, famous for narrowing the presidential candidate list of the U.S. every 4 years? It's a major contributor to the agricultural output in the motherfucking United States. All right, here we go, rock and roll.
These were originally made by Kellogg, who was a self-hating gay man because he thought food with flavor caused sexual urges. His brother was the genius who put sugar on them and mass sold them.
Oh,
Prince Gabo.
interesting. The flat landscape of Iowa has been made famous in films such as Field of Poop.
SM Work America runs on corn.
Yo, 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 corn, corn, corn. So, more about Iowa here.
Stay _hydrated 6969.
Whoa, what's that? Cool. I didn't know Iowa was responsible for so much farming, and I like farming, but
Genesis. Said. Long time no see. Stay hydrated 6
whoa, what's that? That's a lot of hogs. You know, they have like the pork princess, the pork king, the pork queen, and the pork everything. They have this huge pork festival. Anyways, you know, one of the most famous foods in the state of Iowa is pork tenderloin. Woo! Pork tenderloins! Woo-hoo! Pork tenderloins! Cheer one, cheer one, cheer one. Oh. All right. Well, I kind of want to talk about food. All right. Woo. Donation bit party here. All right. Woo. We got to get back to Iowa though. I'm thinking about pork tenderloin, but I got Des Moines on the screen. So let's learn a little about Des Moines. So like I said, it's the capital. It's about 200,000 people, not many people. However, it's the third insurance place in the world. Woo! All right. So Des Moines, Iowa. Woo! Thanks for the donations, guys. Appreciate it. Des Moines, Iowa, it's actually third in the whole world in insurance. It's known as the insurance capital of the world. Woo! Des Moines, Iowa. Woo! Des Moines, Iowa is the insurance capital of the world. Can you believe that? That town, that city, I guess. Des Moines, Iowa. It's also known for publishing. A lot of books are published in Des Moines, Iowa. This is my book right here. It's an arm's length. Gonzo Education. It's available on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Gonzo Education. For only $15. It's a really great book, and I'm sure you'll very much enjoy it. So, there's also a link to it in the description. Alright. So, Des Moines, Iowa, like I said, it's the capital. I used to sell the newspaper. It's a really nice place. We're gonna look at pictures of the Papa John's Sculpture Park. That's also in Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines, Iowa is known for their breaded pork tenderloin sandwich, which is supposed to be a really great sandwich. Move this out of the way. So, what else about Des Moines? It's the insurance capital. It's lots of publishing there. It's number one for business. It's a very popular business state. Woo! All right, stay hydrated again. All right. So, continuing. So now we're going to go over some foods, some famous foods of Iowa. I mentioned the breaded pork tenderloin. You can see it right up here. Now, this is supposed to be really good. Why? Well, they're number one in pork production, so they make a lot of pork. And it's supposed to be really good. I don't know. I've never had a pork tenderloin sandwich. I actually don't really eat pork. Woo! All right, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Woo, thank you very much. So that's the pork tenderloin. Let's look at some of the other foods they have. So this is a hot beef sandwich right up here. If you can see, it's a sandwich. They're known for their sandwiches. Iowa supposedly has really good sandwiches, and two of the most popular are the pork tenderloin sandwich and also the hot beef sandwich, which is basically a pot roast with some sort of bread and mashed potatoes on the inside. It looks delicious in my opinion. I like those kind of things. But yeah, that's the pot roast sandwich and a hot beef sandwich, sorry. I'll give you guys a bigger look of it right there. We'll go over a couple other food items that I thought were interesting. This right here, it's called gas station pizza. It's also called taco pizza. Yeah, believe it or not, Iowa, a landlocked state, nowhere near Latin America, they're known for their taco pizza, their gas station pizza.
Great Prince Gabo said, SM work, it's an abomination.
This is something else that they're known for, nutty bars. So the Iowa Nutty Bar, it's an ice cream with chocolate and nuts. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've had the same thing before. I guess it's not an official nutty bar, but apparently it has to have that shape too. The Iowa Nutty Bar always has that particular shape. Oh wow, thank you. Woo! Alright, woo, Cody, woo! Shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it. They get Mr.G to shakey, shakey, shakey.
Iowa invented ice cream.
Yes, no, actually they didn't invent ice cream. However, they're known as the world's capital for ice cream. Why? I think they just claimed it. But they did break a world's record with Blue Bunny ice cream. And there's more ice cream manufactured per capita in Iowa than anywhere else in the world. So Iowa is big on food. They're also really big on fried food. Similar to the Texas State Fair in Dallas, you know, they have the Red River Rivalry football game every year where the University of Texas plays the Oklahoma Sooners. And there's all sorts of fried food. You can get fried Oreos, fried Twinkies, fried anything. And Iowa is known for their fried foods. Also, their obesity rate. Iowa has one of the highest obesity rates in the United States, and they pretty much lead the Midwest with 32% obesity rate. That means that 32% of the people in Iowa are considered obese. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying the facts here. All right? That's what we do here. That's what we do in this class. We look up facts. It's all about objectivity, right? Objectivity. You know, if you know Mr.G, that's one of my favorite words. Objectivity.
Shocker. Highest corn producers in the nation of the United States have a high index of diabetes and obesity.
Yes. And with that being said,
you can send Mr.G, Moses, and Keanu.
you know, a lot of times my personal opinions might come out in class, especially during an election year, the one that we had the most. But really, I'm a nonpartisan. I'm an independent. I might lean to the right on more socially conservative and even fiscally conservative issues. Socially conservative issues like abortion, and I'm pro. I'm against I'm against abortion, and I'm pro Second Amendment, and also you know, a few other things that I'm not embarrassed to say. So I do lean to the right. However, I'm nonpartisan. I've voted for Democratic candidates. I voted for Barack Obama twice, in 2008 and in 2012. So I have voted each side. Everything in this class is done objectivity. Anything when you're teaching, in my opinion, you can tell people your opinion like I just did. I'm against abortion and I'm for capital punishment, right? However, when you're explaining things, it's always good to keep in mind being objective. And that's one of my favorite words. Because there's two things in life. Something is either objective or subjective. Well, we're not going to get into that right now. especially with the fire hellstorm that's going on in Washington. This is all about learning, guys. We're not expressing our political opinions. Hold on. Just checking the security camera right there. Okay, oh, I heard something on the camera. So, whether something is objective or subjective. Okay, so I'm 6 foot 3 inches tall. Now that's something that's objective. You can get a ruler. And we won't even do that because that's too personal. So instead, I'll measure this phone. So this phone right here, the GX Studio phone, is exactly 6 inches long. Now, I know that, and it's objective because I can measure it. Now, saying something like, this phone sucks, or this phone is not good, this phone is garbage. Now, that's something that's subjective, that's an opinion. You know, whether or not it's garbage, you know, that's up to them. That's why when I tell people...
Are you longer than your remote?
Well, you'd be surprised. This is 6 inches? Like, what the heck? I mean, yeah. Anyways, let's not go there, okay? That's a big 6 inches, right?
Said. I take that as a no then.
Okay, I'm a little threatened by the size of my phone here. But regardless...
Said. LUL.
Okay, what were we talking about, class? Alright, whether something's subjective or objective. And we're going to get right back to Iowa in just a second here. I'll even put some Iowa food in the corner here. During this class, and anytime you're teaching a class, or learning in a class, or you're participating in a group discussion, you can give out your personal opinion, but that shouldn't change the objectivity of what you're all trying to learn. And another way to look at it is something that's objective, information that's objective, it'll help all kinds of people. It will help people that I do not agree with politically, religiously, or in any way. But it's objective information, and that's something that everybody shares. So that's what I really enjoy about teaching. I don't need to like my students. You know, it's good to like them, but teaching is something, you know, you're passing on information, and you know, a lot of times it's you receive criticism or disrespect, or people they doubt your credibility. You know, you tell them something and they don't believe you, and that's the only thing that hurts. Because a really good teacher, they're doing it because they love teaching. They love you know, passing on information. They love learning themselves. Like I've said a million times, the best teachers are also really good learners too. So, with that being said, you know, I appreciate all you guys in the class today, especially all the people that have donated. And we're going to continue in class here. I just wanted to stop and say that. So, back to Iowa. I think we're about done with the food. We went over some different food that they have, the nutty bars, the breaded pork. Let me go and see what's going on here. What the fuck?
MRSG Mermaid. Said. Show love one, show love one, show love one, show love one.
Hey, what's up? Woo, cool. Alright, woo. Yeah, we're doing the dono roll here. Thanks for all the donations, guys. Woohoo! Mr. G. Alright. Woo. Yo. And if you're watching this on YouTube, take a second and hit the thumbs up button. Do it for Iowa, especially if you're in Iowa.
I love the bell heads.
Thank you. I just came up with it during this class. I don't know why, I just jumped over there. Yay. Okay, but continuing on. This lecture has been all over the place.
Hyper crown, hyper crown, hyper crown.
Thank you, Big Block. I hope you guys are enjoying this class. I enjoy teaching, and you hear it a bunch. I didn't come up with it, but in life, if you want to succeed at anything, and especially if you want to eventually get paid for something you enjoy doing, you have to offer a service. And if you offer a service that's in demand, people will pay for it.
Can the mods link the YT channel?
Yes, that'd be awesome. I have 2 YouTube channels. One of them I upload on almost every day, which is mainly high def 4K videos of my CATs. The other channel is my main YouTube channel where I do live streaming and stuff like that. So, we went over...
Mermaid. https://www.youtube.
Thank you, Mrs. J. So we went over Keanu hype. We went over Des Moines, Iowa, and the American Gothic
Mr.G
painting. Thank you so much, Mrs. J. So I have 2 YouTube channels. One of them has like 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. The other one only has like 400 or 500 subs. So subscribe to each channel, and I'd really appreciate the new viewers. We got some great viewers here on Twitch. That's why I like Twitch. But especially on YouTube, it's great to have new viewers because it's so hard to grow on YouTube. So earlier in the lecture I was talking about Des Moines, Iowa, and I also mentioned how Iowa was really popular among artists, surprisingly, farmers and artists, and there is a lot of decent art in Iowa. We'll go over the flag in a minute here, but while I'm here... Well, we'll go ahead and go over the flag right now. I'll go ahead and put it up here. Oh, I don't think I have the flag on here. Okay, so quick on the flag here. We won't go over it that much. So the flag has the 3 colors of red, blue, and white. The reason for that is paying respect to France. Iowa was once part of France. It was sold to the United States in 1805 during the Louisiana Purchase. So as other states that we've covered, like Louisiana and I believe Kansas, a lot of states use that red, white, and blue to pay honor to the country of France, which once owned what is known as Iowa, and they were the first European country. So that's why they have the French colors. There's also a bald eagle representing the United States, and it says in writing, "Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain." So that's really an important phrase, and I think that's meaningful now. When, I don't know, I could be wrong, but a lot of people out there, lovely corn plant, right? A lot of people agree, or a lot of people believe that our rights are slowly being taken away. And I would definitely agree. After September 11th, we lost a lot of personal liberties, but also now it seems like a lot of our, there's no getting around it with the lockdowns and everything like that. You know, like you have to, sometimes some countries, even in the United States, some counties, you have to ask permission where you're going. It's totally crazy. So this phrase on the Iowa state flag is more important, isn't very important now, and it's good to think about quotes and how they apply to modern times, because obviously, you know, when this phrase was written on the Iowa state flag, they didn't know about there was going to be coronavirus. They didn't know that people were going to be forced to stay in their homes and to shut down their businesses. But that's why they teach history, because history repeats itself. And quotes are a part of history. So our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain. Our liberties we prize, and our rights.
Mr.G with a donation through Stream Elements. https://streamelements.com/mrg_live/
We maintain. So a lot of state flags, they have Latin. A lot of them have just a couple words or maybe an Indian expression. Like I said, Iowa really knocks it out of the park with the state bird, the state flower, the state capital, and here on the state flag, They have a nice flag, which, you know, gives respect to the bald eagle. But also, our liberties we prize and our rights we maintain. Hey, is Mark in the class here? Hey, Super Roofer. Aloha. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Over there in Arkansas, I heard there was about some news story in Arkansas. I'm not going to bring it up, but I was thinking about you guys. Just enjoying class. We're going to have class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. And then we'll be off on Thursday, New Year's Eve. I'll probably do some sort of IRL stream or something. And then off on Friday on New Year's Day. And then after that, next week, we'll have a full week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The classes are going to be starting earlier in the day. And I know you're somewhat of an early riser, Super Roofer, so you know that'll be good for you too.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's going to be more classroom time. So it's going to start 12 o'clock Hawaii time. So it's 2 o'clock on the West Coast, 3 or 4 o'clock in the middle of the country, and 5 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. So a couple other things, just some quick fun facts about Iowa. They actually almost went to war with Missouri. The federal government had to step in because it was a border dispute. Iowa is one of the rare states that has rivers as their border. The Mississippi River and the Missouri River are two of the borders of Iowa. However, the border between Iowa and Missouri was the reason that they almost went to war. The federal government had to step in to prevent any shots from being fired, actually, and the federal government went in there and literally made out the border. So that's a rare instance where two states almost went to war with each other. Another instance would be Kansas, Nebraska, and also Kansas, Missouri. It seems like Missouri just seems to get into it with everybody, right? Also, the Iowa State Fair, it's one of the largest state fairs in the United States, where they have the Pork Princess, the Pork King, and the Pork Queen. And I could make a joke here, but I'm not going to do that. We're on Twitch. What else? Iowa's known to have one of the top education systems in the top public education systems in the country. It seems like a really nice place to raise a family if you're not interested in like big city stuff. It also has one of the top rated healthcare systems. So they have really good healthcare, and they have really great schools. That's kind of rare. It's a swing state. In the recent election, once again, there's only 3 million people in the state of Iowa, so they only have, I believe, 5 electoral votes. No, they have 6 electoral votes. Recently, it went for Donald Trump in the 2020 election with just about 52%. Like I said, Iowa's a swing state. Hey Google, volume 8. Thanks, Mrs. J. That's my Discord right there. If you guys, that's the best way to find out when I'm going live, if I'm doing any outside IRL or anything like that.
Sup, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Is that Dave London?
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave London. Aloha. Thanks for coming to the earlier class today. Hey, Google. Did Iowa vote for Trump or Biden in the 2020 election?
2020 U.S. presidential election results for Iowa. According to the Associated Press, Donald Trump won with 6 electoral votes and 53.2% of the vote.
Okay, 53.2. I said 51% or 52%, so I was about there. Another thing about Iowa is they're one of the first states to initiate equal rights, which, you know, if you were there for the the Wyoming presentation, you'll also learn that Wyoming was one of the first for equal rights for women. Iowa was actually one of the first states that was against segregation almost 20-30 years before Brown versus Board of Education. And if you were there for the Kansas class, we learned that Kansas is where the Brown versus Board of Education took place.
For states like Iowa, or even New York and split New York City too. Said. You can send Mr. G, Moses, and Keanu.
I totally agree. I've been looking into that, Nebraska in particular. There was an incident that caused me to look into that scenario. It is like that in many states where the cities are generally Democratic and highly populated, and they that tend to vote highly Democratic, and whereas the rest of the state tends to vote Republican. And I don't want to get into what reasons that is. I mean, because it's a slippery slope, and me being a Caucasian male, I'm probably not in the best interest. But I do know things are changing, and less people of color, less our minorities are voting Democratic, and they're coming to their senses that they don't have to vote a certain way just because a particular party says that they should. So, okay, moving on. Iowa invented the toaster.
Bieber.
Pretty good, huh?
Mr. G, have you been to Iowa?
No, I've never been east of the Mississippi River. And Iowa is just east of the Mississippi River. Like I said earlier, Iowa's borders on the west is with the Mississippi River, and on the east is the Missouri River. I'm going to show you a map here. Okay. Alright, I guess I don't have that. Like I said, I didn't take all my classes from earlier. So I did mention the what's written on the state flag. This is the state seal. And on the state seal... Okay.
Inspirat 3D. Set. Joe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll go ahead and put it... I thought that was going to be a donation. I was about to jump on the chair again. So that's the state seal. I'll put it up in the corner here. And it again has the words, our liberties we prize and our rights we maintain. So I don't know what Iowa feels about the constant lockdowns, but Alright, so we went over the state bird, the state flower, the state flag. We went over some popular foods in Iowa. We went over the state capital. The state capital is Des Moines, Iowa, population 200,000. And the second largest city is Cedar Rapids, only 133,000. The third largest city is Iowa City, population 79,000. So those are the three biggest cities in Iowa. There's supposedly 3 million people in the state, and it's a relatively small state. So what does that tell you, class? Well, it should tell you there's a bunch of farms in Iowa, and there's farms all over the state, more than any other state. Like I said, they lead the nation in corn production, pork production. They're one of the tops in eggs, soybeans, and there's farms everywhere. I had the number. I think it's something like 900,000 farms, but I do know 92% of Iowa there are farms. It's also in Tornado Alley. It's also prone to flooding. And the winters are very, very brutal. One thing that we haven't gone over, we went over the nickname. It's known as the Hawkeye State or the Corn State or apparently the Boring State. One thing that we have not gone over is famous people from Iowa. I wish I do have those slides, but I don't have my slides from earlier. Did I mention Iowa became a state in December 28th? 1846, and today is December 28th. So maybe you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you're not watching it live, but right now we're recording this live on December 28th, so it's the 174th anniversary. And that was just a coincidence, motherfucker. I shouldn't have cursed there, but okay.
Happy birthday, Iowa.
Happy birthday, Iowa. I did mention Captain Blackhawk. I wanted to emphasize that. I do have a picture of him as well. Captain Blackhawk is the first Native American to write a book about his life. Here he is right here. This is the Captain Blackhawk. And while we're going over him, he has high cheekbones, kind of like me. If you didn't know something about Mr. G, is I'm a good deal Native American. And yeah, so I really like the story of Captain Blackhawk. That's where the University of Iowa gets their name, for the Hawkeye. And also, like I said, he's one of the most famous people to ever come from Iowa. So, continuing with more famous individuals from Iowa. There aren't many, surprisingly. This guy, Clark Kent, not a Superman. He is apparently from Iowa. I'm not sure the actor's name, so we'll move on. I didn't do too much research on this part. So this guy, Kurt Warner, former quarterback for the St. Louis Rams, he he really had a good career. He slaps men's butts. I've seen him do that on multiple occasions. Who else is from Iowa? Well, this guy is from Iowa. Kelso, I believe his name is. Or Cosmo Kramer, I think, actually. Kramer. But apparently he works as a gigolo. Who else is from Iowa? Well, this guy is from Iowa. Now, I'm not really sure his name, but I'm pretty sure he's an elf for that nerd story.
Sigourney_Beaver. Elijah Wood.
That's it, Elijah Wood. All right, last, this famous person is from Iowa. Iowa, I think it's like there's not many people of color in Iowa. She is very attractive, though. She's very symmetrical. She kind of reminds me of Lucky the cat.
The new merch is here, PopChamp. Check it out. https://merch.s3meliments.com/.
All right, this is also somebody famous from Iowa. This is Cal.
Send Mr.G, Moses, and Keanu packages to 1170 New Wanu Avenue, Po Box 3.
For famous Iowa person.
Honolulu, Hawaii 96823. Sigourney_Beaver. Said. The black people in Iowa are in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, really? Interesting.
MRS Jade Mermaid. Said. Cal.
Okay, so those are some famous people from Iowa. It's not a large list. Like I said, I could have put more people on there, but that's just a quick segment. Somebody I did forget who is from Iowa is Tom Arnold. He's known for marrying Roseanne Barr, I guess, like in the 90s when I was a little kid. There are other famous people from Iowa, and I'm sure I left out some. Shout out to Flowers in Her Hair. Let's ask Google about some famous Iowa people. Hey Google, who is some famous Iowa people?
On the website thefamouspeople.com, they say, one of the most notable celebrities from Iowa has to be actor and human rights activist Ashton Kutcher. Do you want a little more context?
Yes.
John Wayne.
Oh yeah, John Wayne was born in Iowa, that's correct. Ashton Kutcher, they said, is the most famous person from Iowa.
On the website biography.com, they say, John Wayne was born Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907
Marion?
in Winterset, Iowa. Do you want a little more context?
Yes, please. Okay, I didn't know John Wayne's middle name was Marion. Talk about a complex.
According to Wikipedia, at birth, Wayne claimed his middle name was soon changed from Robert to Michael when his parents decided to name their next son Robert, but extensive research has found no such legal change. Wayne's legal name remained Marion Robert Morrison his entire life.
That's crazy. He had a fucked up middle name. I knew a kid growing up, his middle name was Penelope. Jonathan Penelope Lewis. But anyways, so a couple more corn facts. I had more corn facts, but they didn't fucking come through for some reason. I'm gonna put some more corn facts though. I'm gonna put a picture of corn up there. Okay. So now Iowa does grow a lot of corn, and corn is used in ethanol and also in corn syrup and a bunch of other things as well. But and I'm putting up my website right here. If you guys haven't checked out my website, it's gxnetwork.live. It's basically a biography about me, so if you want to know any more about your teacher here, then go ahead and check out the website. So Iowa does produce a lot of corn, more than any other country, more than any other state in the United States, on par with any country in the world. However, one interesting fact that I learned is that the majority of the corn it's used to produce, sugar for sodas and ethanol for gas, and only 1% of the corn grown in the United States is actually sweet corn, the type of corn that you pour, that you eat at your table. So, but Iowa also, they're not just known for corn; they're also the top producers of soy and also pork and eggs too. And that's just because they have a lot of farms. They have something like 900,000 different farms. All right. I think that's about it. I think we covered just about everything. As far as the Electoral College goes,
they have a lot of soy boys.
I was waiting for somebody to crack a joke about that. I don't drink soy either. I don't like almond milk either. I like regular milk. I've squeezed nipples of cows and drank the milk, and goats. Not that I'm proud of that or anything, but I've worked on farms before. And the farmers agree that, natural is always best, organic is always best. So the milk that they've been, anyways, let's not talk about that. We talked about Tornado Alley, how it's pretty dangerous. There's a lot of elements, natural elements. We talked about Captain Blackhawk. What else? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the Electoral College. I'll do a quick summary of that. So New Hampshire, they used to be the state that voted first in the primaries. When you hear about Iowa, most people think about the primaries. Now, most recently there wasn't a Republican primary because Donald Trump obviously was the Republican candidate. But they did have a Democratic primary earlier this year, and Iowa is the first state to vote. So the way that the logic goes is Iowa is an example for the rest of the country. So however Iowa votes is how the rest of the country tends to vote. Or the way they make it out is Iowa is, what's the word I'm looking for? A colloquialism or whatever of the entire nation. And they look at Iowa and then New Hampshire to see how they vote to determine how they're going to vote. Now, I don't really believe that, especially now. But previously, before this year, because I don't think Joe Biden won New Hampshire. I don't think Joe Biden won New Hampshire, and Pete Buttigieg won Iowa earlier this year. So previously, the only person ever to win the White House, Democratic or Republican, without winning either Iowa or New Hampshire was Bill Clinton. He's one of the most corrupt presidents of all time, right? And so he won the White House without winning either of those two states. The reason Iowa votes first is by accident. New Hampshire has it written in their constitution, where New Hampshire, they have to vote within one of the first states, and no state can vote within a week earlier than New Hampshire. So New Hampshire has that written in its state constitution. Now Iowa, the reason that they vote first is because in 1968 at the Democratic National Convention, the candidate that won the Democratic, who was that? Was it Mondale? Walter Mondale? Hey Google, who was the Democratic candidate in 1968?
Here's some information from the web that might possibly help. Here's a summary from the website en.wikipedia.org. Incumbent Vice President Hubert Humphrey was selected as the nominee in the 1968 Democratic National Convention held from August 26 to August 29, 1968.
So Hubert Humphrey, Vice President, was the nominee. Now Hubert Humphrey didn't win a single primary, and that upset a lot of people. And so the Democratic Party decided to change the whole way that they were doing their Democratic primaries. And in 1968, this was also when they basically realigned. The Democratic Party in 1968 was the majority of southern states, southern Democrats with their Confederate flag and their racism. You know, the KKK was all Democratic. Look, I just said earlier I'm not take sides or anything, and they say the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the people or whatever. Hey, in my opinion, the Democratic Party is the most racist party in American history. No doubt about it. Look it up. The Democratic Party, look at political cartoons from the Democratic Party for the first couple hundred years. They're a sham. They've been the most racist part of the country. But during this time in 1968, right about the time that LBJ initiated welfare programs, was as a way of, political vote getting, possibly. But anyways, and he's still one of the most revered presidents in communities like that. And he's from Texas, too. That has nothing to do with it. But this was during the realignment, where the Democrats basically became Republicans, and Republicans basically became Democrats. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? But the South, which always votes Republican now, the southern part of the United States, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, North Carolina is a swing state, but those states generally always vote red, Republican. Back in the day, they used to be all Democrat, and they would vote Democrat. You've heard the expression Southern Democrat. All right, but we're not talking about the South, we're talking about the Midwest. Oh, but I will say, the reason Iowa gets to vote first is because they did a whole, rearranging the primary process wasn't that big of a deal to the Democratic Party in 1968, because so much was going on with the changing of the party that it didn't really matter. So Iowa, the reason that they got to vote first is because they had such a complicated political caucus. So I shouldn't say primary, because it's not a primary, it's a caucus. Only 2 states in the United States has caucuses, right? Iowa, and Nevada. And Nevada's a recent thing, and I don't even know what's going on with the Nevada caucus, but I know it's not been going on as long as Iowa. Iowa has had a history of these caucuses where a bunch of people meet in a school, a gymnasium, or a football field, and they need a lot of room, even though Iowa's a small state, because during the caucus, what they'll do is, I'll break it down, there's lots of YouTube videos you can watch about what happens in a caucus, but you have like an initial person that you're for, right? And then you go to this side of the room, and then so all the Pete Buttigieg people go in one corner, and all the Elizabeth Warren people go in another corner, and all the Andrew Yang people go in another corner, and all the Bernie Sanders people go in another corner. And then you, talk amongst your people, and you try to narrow down the corners and stuff, and you try to narrow down the groups, and it's a very complicated process. So they went ahead and let Iowa go first. And like I said, it's written in the New Hampshire state constitution that they're required to go within a week of any of the first state. So that's why Iowa votes first in presidential primary elections. And other states like Nevada, and there's one other state slips my mind, but they also, South Carolina, Nevada and South Carolina, they both move their primaries ahead because, a lot of states feel it has a lot of credence. And to me, it doesn't really make sense, and I think there's a lot of scandalous things involved, because in the year 2020 here, we're about to be 2021, people aren't, all narrow-minded. There's aren't 3 or 4 channels on TV anymore, right? There isn't the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. There isn't a major music star. Even the top music stars, they're not household names. Even the top television programs, they're not household names. Even the top movies aren't household names. Even the best picture of the year isn't a household name. Why? Because we're saturated with everything. There's more TV shows now than there's ever been before. And there's more award-winning TV shows now than there's ever been before. There's more quality movies and quality programming, and music. Like, there's not a famous music star that everybody's kids and parents know, and everybody that's aware of, like when the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or somebody like that, or the Monkees or something like that. Even Michael Jackson or Madonna in the 80s, it's not like that anymore. It's saturated with everything. So even like the most famous rock star, like Little Peep or whatever, or they're not household names, let's not talk about that. I'm not talking about that. This is about Iowa. We're wrapping things up. Iowa's the ice cream capital of the world. So it has a lot of ice cream. Blue Bell Bunny ice cream is located there. It produces more pork. So there's a lot of great pork products. There's a lot of great fried food in Iowa. What else? Captain Blackhawk. I think that's about it. I talked about Iowa politics, and I went off on a tangent there. Iowa's got one of the biggest farming communities. It's basically flat land. The highest point in Iowa is only like 1,500 feet. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation here. I'm going to go ahead and play you the Iowa State song again. I'm going to see if there's anything else that we haven't covered here that's important to cover. Oh, okay, we haven't. One thing is that we haven't covered.
Good job, Mr.G.
Thank you.
Mermaid said, great class and informative.
Thank you, Dave London. Thank you, Mrs. J. So what I will do here is I will play the state song of Iowa, which is very short. It's only a minute and less than 2 minutes. Thank you, Cody. Thanks, everybody who took part in the stream. Thank you, Big Block. Thank you for everybody who donated. I'm going to upload this onto YouTube. And also, I might go live again on YouTube, not on Twitch or anything, but I might go live with the green screen for fun if I'm bored or something. It's still pretty early in the day. Thank you, Countryman. Thanks everybody who showed up to class today. It was really fun class. Thank you for everybody who donated. Woo! Donated. Alright, yeah, it was fun. Tomorrow is a new state. Tomorrow we're going to learn about Minnesota. The vampire. Hey, Mrs. J. the Mommy! Woo! Woo! Thank you, everybody. Tomorrow we're going to do a new state, Minnesota. We're going to wrap it up with the Papa John's Sculpture Park, which is in Des Moines, Iowa. And these pictures are really awesome. These sculptures are great. Iowa really surprised me with the amount of culture and art and food and the reputation that it has. Iowa seems like a really great state. So if you're from Iowa, or if you've been to Iowa, leave something in the comments. Write something about Iowa, because I really enjoyed learning about it. And I'd enjoy anything that you'd like to say about Iowa. So, with that being said, so fun. I'm going to play the Iowa State song, and we're going to listen to, and I'm going to show you images from the beautiful Papa John's Sculpture Park located in Des Moines, Iowa. Alright, so thanks again, guys. The class is going to be tomorrow, same time. Earlier, start at noon start time tomorrow. We're going to do a new state in Minnesota. And right now, go ahead and play this wonderful state song of Iowa.
Countryman said, so 2 hours earlier.
Yes, countryman.
1000.
Exactly. We're doing 2 hours earlier. That's to the end of this year. I was going to start at the beginning of January with an early start time, but there's only a few more days left in this year. This week, we're just going to do Monday today. Tuesday, we're going to go over Minnesota. And Wednesday, we're going to go over Illinois or Wisconsin. I haven't decided yet. Probably Wisconsin, because I like cheese. Do you like cheese? Say cheese. All right. No, seriously, just today, Monday, we'll have another class. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Minnesota. And then the next day will be Wednesday, we'll have another class. Coming up next week will be Monday, January 4th. We'll start a new state, and Monday through Friday from then on out, we'll be able to finish up all the U.S. states within the next couple weeks. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the images from Papa John's Sculpture Park. Check out both my YouTube channels. I upload on there every day. And let's go ahead and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks everybody for being here. And here's a great Papa John's Sculpture Park with the Iowa State song. Aloha.